Welcome. I hope this video finds you well and kick right off. So, this is a strange video to do, I suppose, but I thought I would do a video on polishing shoes, of all things. Leather shoes, obviously. Uh, I'm sure there's a lot of videos out there. I thought I'd do one. I was in the military, I was in the Navy, and polishing shoes is a regular part what you have to do. So I learned some interesting techniques to use that I would like to share with you, and hopefully if you find yourself having to shine a pair of shoes, it'll come in handy. Alright, so just get started. You got your shoe. Alright, I went to Publix and I picked up this little kit here. I think it was like 12 bucks. And it's got 2 tins of polish, one for black, one for brown, couple of applicators, shine cloth, and special brush for shining. Alright, you can buy the parts individually, maybe you already have them. The polish is kind of an obvious thing. The brush is going to let you, you've probably seen in movies or television somebody shining a shoe using the brush. And then you're going to have this cloth, right? If you're trying to get a real glossy shine on your shoes, these cloths are really, really handy. You can use you can use an old t-shirt. I've used those a lot. But these are nice just if for no other reason than, it's a specific kind of material, but also because you can hold it like that, right? Johnny Cash style, right? Little shoe shine boy. Anyways, alright, so a couple of the things that you might want to have for this particular technique. Get yourself like a cup of water, alright, so that you can have some water handy. That's going to help. And a lighter, okay? So a little disclaimer, the way that I used to shine my shoes while I was in the Navy uses a lighter. Now, the reason for that is when you take a leather shoe, leather being the type of material it is, when you heat it up, it's going to react differently than if it's cold, right? The polish is going to get in there differently than if the leather is cold. So here's the disclaimer, okay? I would recommend, if you're going to use the lighter portion, try it out on a pair of shoes, right, that you're not really attached to, really expensive. Now, the reason being you shouldn't have any problems. I've used a lighter to shine my shoes many times, and I've never had any problems with it, all right? Just exercise caution, not only with your shoe, but as goofy as it sounds, just safety in general. Don't burn your house down. Anyways, that being said, so what you want to do, take your tin of black or brown, whatever, open it, right, you've got your polish there. At this point, for example, the little kit I bought comes with this little applicator. I use a lot of the time just an old shirt, right, old t-shirt or something like that. One thing that's good to do before you get started, actually, now that I think about it, take an old t-shirt or a rag or something like that, just get a little water on it, and just do a quick kind of cleaning, right? Just try to get Get a clean surface as much as possible so that you can have the polish adhere to the leather or soak in or whatever it is that polish exactly does. So you want to clean it up a little bit. Then after that, take your applicator, your shirt, whatever, get some polish on there, right? You don't have to get a ton on there initially. And before you jump into the polishing portion, this is where you can use the lighter, okay? If you take the lighter and you light it and you just kind of run over the leather a little bit, right? Just like this. What it's going to do is it's going to kind of heat up the leather. And the way that it was explained to me is when you do this with the lighter, it like opens the pores of the leather to make it more receptive, okay? So then take your applicator, just start applying it in circular motion, right? Just get it all in there, especially if you have any scuffs on the toe. Just get it all up in there. Usually, it's good to work in sections, right? Toe section, side section. That's kind of how I do it. I mean, you can try to do the whole thing if you want. But just start off with the toe. If you've never done this before, just start off with the toe, right? Work it in real good. Now, it's important, each step is important to try to do kind of as thoroughly as possible. Now, the reason being, if you want to try to get like a glassy looking, real fine polish on there, take your time, work it in, work it in. You know, you don't have to press super hard, just work it in, small circles, small circles, small circles, right? A really good quality shine has a lot to do with just repetitive time, slow and steady, right, and doing multiple coats. If you really want to get like a real, you know, fine shine, you might have to do a couple of coats, especially if your shoe's all jacked up and, you know, then you're trying to fill in some gaps there or some, you know, whatever damage on the end. All right. Okay, so at this point, you can take the lighter again and heat up the polish, right? Just kind of keeping it warm. You can take your t-shirt, or if you have the little rag, right, you can take the shoe. Now this is where it gets tricky, because you're gonna, at least for the video portion, you're going to want to, for example, you can hold the shoe between your knees like this and start polishing, right? I just want to get it on there. Like I say, it's another step. Just consistency. Consistency. Just keep going, keep going. The more that you do it, the shinier it'll get, alright? So, you may or may not really be able to see. Let me see if I can compare these. Get this in the light. So, this one, to the left, is the one that's shined. And you really can't see at this point because that's one coat, okay? After you use that rag, the rag that's specifically for this, you can take your t-shirt, small concentric circles, just start buffing it. Now, in particular, around the edges, that cloth is not probably going to get down there. So you're going to want to make sure to get down in there with your old t-shirt or whatever, right? And just kind of work it in, work it in, work it in. Now at this point, old school, you just kind of spit on it, right? You don't want to like hawk a loogie on your shoe. That's not what you're going for. You want to just kind of so it just gets some saliva on there, right? Or that's what the cup of water is for, okay? You can take your fingers, dip it in your cup of water, kind of dab it on there a little bit. Back to your old shirt or that rag. Just kind of work that in a little bit, right? Work it in, work it in, work it in. Do that for a bit. Now I'm not gonna keep going through this because that would get really old, even more than a YouTube video on shoe shining already is. That's the basic process right there. Okay, you can take your brush, kind of give it one of those, and you want to just back and forth like that, right? Just like that, back and forth, back and forth. Shoe shining is all about time, and the more time you put into it, the glossier it's going to be, okay? So for the sake of brevity, let you go through this process, buff it in real nice, take your time, take your lighter if you're doing that route, heat up the leather again, apply some more polish, and you want to get a good layer of polish on there too. That first coat that I did, I actually didn't get that good of a layer, but put a good solid layer on there, right? Shining your shoes is a lot like waxing your car. If you've ever done that, it's very similar. Put a layer on over the whole shoe, and then put the layers on in sections. Do the tip, side, back, however you want to do it. Then go back and buff the tip first, right? What that does, when you section it off like that, you're applying the polish to different parts at different times. Then when you go back and you're buffing it out, it'll give the other portions time to dry, because you want to let that the shoe polish kind of soak in, soak in, or whatever it does, get into the leather, dry, just like sort of like you would on a car. Then buff it out. That's where you're gonna really start to see your shoe like start to get really, really, really sharp looking. All right. That's pretty much it. Okay. If you're just doing it for work, you might be able to just do one coat. And if you just want your shoes looking decent for work, you'd probably be good. If you want to go for like a real high gloss shine, just keep repeating that process until you're happy with how shiny it is. Pretty simple. If you are using a shoe that you've had for a long time, or that somebody else has given you, whatever the case may be, where it may have been shined by somebody else, right? You may have a buildup on your shoe of wax. If that's the case, then you need to think about taking off those layers first. That way you can get back down to the leather and get a good shine on it. All right? So that's the basics. I'm going to write down in the little section below the video, and I'm going to write out the steps just in case you just want to read them without watching back through. So that is pretty much it. I hope you found this video useful and it wasn't too boring. Hope you have some shiny, awesome shoes that get you that next job or girlfriend or whatever you're shining your shoes for.